Okay, so I'm going to show you how I make my leather straps. So first I made a template. So I wanted to do a template of like a handle that I wanted to have that was going to be leather. So I made that template and then I cut out 2 pieces out of leather. Now the next thing I did is I laid down my pieces on top of a larger piece of leather, so that way I can take these 2 and sandwich them together. So then that way when I go and cut out the next one and when I cut in really nice and clean, that way it's both exactly the same size, and when I varnish the outside it'll look identical. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how I apply this contact cement. Okay, so I bought this one from Walmart. It was like $6 or something like that. So what I do is I take a piece of of wax paper. I cut a little hole in the middle of it so that the wand goes into it. That way it helps me with the getting it open, because sometimes I just can't get it open. Okay, and you want to make sure you do a nice even coat. They do have larger boxes, and I'm sorry, not boxes, but cans that don't necessarily have the little brush with it. And they have little applicators you can purchase, but I say this is just as good. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Okay, I have this marked here because I will be cutting that portion off. So just to let you know, so once you do that one, you set that one aside and you repeat the same process with the other one. But I'm going to show you what I do over here and then we can go from there. Now this is a piece of wax paper, so that way if anything gets down, it goes on the wax paper and not my table. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. And I don't need the wax paper on this one because this one is this one's a larger piece, so any overage would just be cut off. With cement glue like this, it is permanent upon it touching the other piece of the glue. So it does ask that you like wait like 15 minutes or so, but no more than 2 hours for it to get kind of tacky. And once it gets tacky, then you can put it together. So go ahead and do that. If you have like a dryer or something, put it on the cool setting and then just go like that. I do have a fan that I'm going to use. So let me go get my fan, use the fan, and then I'll come back in 15 minutes when I take this piece and put it on there. Okay, so you still want it to kind of look shiny, but be tacky. It's a little tacky, that's what you're looking for. So again, this is permanent upon it touching. So I have to take my time and just make sure that I am lining it up. Little by little. Just like that. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect to the tracing line. The tracing line was just for me to know where to apply the glue. Okay, so we're going to let that set for another 5 to 10 minutes. If you have one of those rollers, that would be really good. If not, just take a hammer, just kind of tap it down. Just make sure that there's no air bubbles. Is primarily what we're looking for. It's just making sure there's no air bubbles in between. We want it to really contact with each other, so that way the glue adheres to each other. Here we go. All right, so I'll bring you back after we've completed both of them and cut them out. Okay, so now I went ahead and tested it with the different types of leather and leatherettes that I'm going to be using, just to make sure my tension is good. So I did that over here, and I've also started putting the edge coat on it, just so that I can show you guys how that looks. So I am going to, before I cut this out, is I'm going to go around and I'm going to sew a top stitch all the way around. And then what that's going to do is going to allow me to just trim up both pieces at the same time and make a nice clean edge. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that up. I'm using glow-in-the-dark white thread, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so now what you can do is take some type of tool that you can just measure the same distance from the thread, and it's creating like a score, so you could follow along and it be the same distance all the way around. I don't think you guys are going to be able to see that, but it's going to be the same distance from the thread. So I'm not sure if you guys can see the scoring that I did on this one. You can kind of see a little bit. What you can do is you can do a rotor cutter, you can do a knife or whatever. I like these really sharp leather scissors. They're stainless steel. I got these at Tandy Leather. Nice long even strokes. And I am cutting through both layers because I want both layers to be exactly the same. Okay. So you could see that. Now somewhere around through here you could see where it's a little wavy, but you can always sand that down so that it makes a little bit more even. So let me show you how I sand it. So you could sand it and then burnish it, just to kind of get an idea of it. Okay, all right. So this is a Dremel. This is just a nail Dremel. So it's not too high speed, so you don't have to worry about hurting yourself with it. The big ones you get from hardware store sometimes are a little bit intimidating for me. I put it on the highest speed, and I'm just gonna hold it. Make it nice and smooth. Okay. And this will take those little chomping bits down too. So like the little imperfections from the scissors. This is very messy. So you may need to clean your work area a couple times. Go. Nice and smooth looking, and then same thing on the other side, underside. I bought this Dremel from Amazon. And that glue works really well to keep these layers more like one piece instead of two individual pieces. And you get yourself a nice strap there. I turn that off, and then I can show you guys. I've got my little Kleenex wipes here in just a second. So that looks really nice and even now. You don't have the little jagged edges. So once you've done that, clean this up. Also helps if I have like something that acts like a spatula kind of thing. Okay, that works really well. Okay, so now that I've done that, now you can take and you could use different bits for different parts. So the pink one here is a very light grit. This is a medium and this is more aggressive. So each number does a different thing. You can do the medium one and then the light one for more of a burnish. So you could do any of those around the edges really nicely. So, and you want to do that before you put on your edge paint. Okay. So the edge paint, so see how we've made this nice and smooth here from before? It's nice and smooth, and I burnished it, and then I'm going to put my edge coat on. So this is a black based edge coat. There's clear, there's black, there's white when it comes to the base. I like to use the tinted base personally, just because it makes it a lot easier when I'm putting on extra layers. Okay, so I do two sides from one side. So that's, I just did this side and this side, and then I did this side earlier. And you can kind of see, okay, and you're going to want to have at least 3 to 4 layers. It makes it look the best. Okay, so I really like this applicator tool that I have. And there we go. So that's how I'm going to be making my handles. They are going to be a little different because they're going to be stiff, but I like it, and it's going to just flop down and up and down. So